Hi there, we are going to do notes on the mouth. The mouth is a cavity that has two openings. That's a mouth right there. And there's the rest of the mouth and your chin. So the opening in the front where the food goes in is called the oral orifice. And the hole in the back where the food goes down is called the oropharynx. So those are the two openings of your mouth. It is lined with stratified squamous epithelium, and some areas are a little bit thicker than others in the fact that they are partially keratinized, so that makes them a little bit tougher. And your mouth has the ability to produce a chemical called defensins. Defensins are kind of like antibiotics in the fact that they help reduce bacterial load, and they also can help promote the healing process if you were to injure any part of your mouth. Your mouth, from the outside, you have lips like this, and there are muscles. If we were to take your skin off, you would find some muscles that run all the way around the outside of your lips like that, and that is called the orbicularis oris. So it basically just means in a circle around the mouth. And then you have these muscles on the side that form your cheeks, and those are called the buccinators. And in the area, let's see, if this is your teeth here, and this is your cheek, and these are your other teeth. You gotta use your imagination with me here. Teeth. So I'm looking at the cavity. This area in here that is between your teeth and gums and your outer cheek is called the vestibule. So the vestibule is, I think about if your teeth are closed, like that, it's all the area where you can still get inside your mouth. Then we have the oral cavity proper, which I did not highlight for some reason, and that is the area inside of your mouth, your tongue, the back of your throat, your uvula, and all those guys. So here's a picture kind of explaining that. So this is you can see the nose right there. So the blue is anywhere outside of your teeth but inside your cheeks, so all the way around there. And then whereas the pinky purple color here is all the rest, it's inside of your teeth and part of your mouth. Here's the orbicularis oris muscle, and so you can see it kind of goes around like that. And then here's some of your buccinators here and here and here and here. So there's a whole bunch of them. Okay, your lips themselves, the actual lip that you see when you look at someone is called the red margin. So that's the actual lip area. That's where you put the lipstick on. And it's kind of reddish colored because it doesn't have those keratinized cells on it, so it's super duper thin, which makes it kind of see-through. And the red pink color you're seeing underneath is the vascularization of the blood vessels underneath. Right under your lips, if you lift them up and down, you're going to find this lovely little thing right there. It's called a frenulum. Frenulum means, what does it mean? It means bridle, B-R-I-D-L-E. And so, like a bridle on a horse, kind of reins in and holds onto the horse. So does the frenulum. Hangs on to your labia, which are your lips. So it's a lip bridle. And when you're a little kid, they tend to go all the way down to your teeth, whereas when you're older, there's a little bit of space between the connection and the bottom of your gums. Your palate. You have a palate, which is the roof of your mouth, which we can see right in here. And there's two parts to your palate, the hard palate and the soft palate. The hard palate has bone behind it, as you can see right here. And the soft palate has skeletal muscle, which is right here. And so the two parts of the palate make up the roof of your mouth. When you look at the hard palate, we see that it's actually two bones that have met in the middle, and they create a little ridge when they finally fuse. And so that little ridge right there is called the raphe. It's the midline ridge down the middle of your hard palate. In the soft palate, it doesn't really have a ridge, but it does have a little dangly down thing in the back, and that is your uvula, which is just an extension of the soft palate, and make sure that when you swallow your food that it directs it to go down instead of back up and through your nose. So here's a picture of your hard palate. We can see the ridges that are used for friction. Here's the raphe down the middle, and so that's kind of the seam of your mouth. The hard palate ends right here with the bone, and then all this is muscle, soft tissue here. You see the same thing here, hard palate here, and then it's kind of hard to see the distinction, but right there is soft palate and uvula. Okay, you have inside of your mouth a couple of different ridges. So here's your hard palate, there's the back tooth area right there. So this is all hard palate here, and then soft palate here. But if you notice, the soft palate has a couple of ridges. It's got a ridge, let me pick a different color, white. It's got a ridge right here and here. That is called the palatoglossal arches. Palato refers to your palate, glossal refers to your tongue. So these guys, if you look, are actually connected to your tongue. Then we have the palatopharyngeal, and that's this guy way back here. Those are the palatopharyngeal arches, and they're a little bit further back, and they're attached to the pharynx in the back area. So what you're looking at right here is this is still part of the mouth cavity. This is the space in the back where you breathe. And what's kind of crazy is if I were to cut a hole right here, your spinal cord would be right there. Oh, I missed one. And the space in between the two, where your tonsils sit, is called the fauces. And so you only really notice those when your tonsils are really big and inflamed, and then you can see them better. Okay, your tongue is made out of skeletal muscle, and its job is to move food around and mix it with saliva. And when you swallow food, it turns into a bolus. So a bolus is just what you call food all mixed up with saliva, ready to go down into your stomach. You have two muscles in your tongue. Well, you have lots of muscles, but two types, intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic muscles are usually on the surface of your tongue, and they're not attached to any bones, but they're used for speech and swallowing. Then we have some other muscles that kind of lie underneath those, called extrinsic muscles, and their job is for extension, retraction, and moving your tongue side to side. Now we want to make sure our tongue doesn't escape, and so if this is your tongue and your teeth here, you've got a little bridge, kind of, no, it's not working now, right there, this little, come on now, this little bridge holds it all together. That's called your lingual frenulum. So there's that frenulum again, this time lingua. Lingual refers to tongue. So if we look right here, there's a lovely pierced one like that. So there's your lingual frenulum, and then right over here it would kind of be like right here. And in this one you can see the intrinsic muscles here and the extrinsic muscles here. Okay. On your tongue you have taste buds, a couple of different kinds. You have filiform, which means long and hair-like. And these kind of provide friction for licking, so when you're licking ice cream, these guys do their job. This is the most abundant one you have on your tongue, but they don't taste at all. They do have a little bit of keratin, some more than others. Cats have a lot of keratin in theirs, which is why their tongues are so scratchy. We also have fungiform, which are kind of mushroom shaped like that. These are the ones that actually contain your taste buds. This is what you taste from. We have circumvallate, or just plain old vallate papillae, and these guys are found in the back of your throat in a V shape, and it also contains taste buds. You can swallow and still taste things on the way down. And then we have what's called the sulcus terminalis. Sulcus just means groove, terminalis means at the end. So this is a little dip. So if we're looking at our tongue, here's our tongue, bleh. Here's the circumvallate, stick out nice and big. And then we have a dip, that's the sulcus terminalis, and then from there it's all lingual tonsil, and this tonsil leads down into your throat. So here's a picture. So we've got these guys, kind of bigger ones that look like zits. Those are the fungiform. Then the filiform are just kind of all over the place, looking a little hairy. Here's that V shape of the vallate or circumvallate ones, and you can kind of see how they work, how they dip down in there. Saliva gets down in there with food molecules, and that's what helps you to taste. So your taste buds really aren't this structure on top, but there's these little polka dots in the side. Up close, this is what they look like. They kind of look like an onion. And so a little bit of food particle gets in there, and then once they reach these nerve endings, then it gets carried to your brain, and you interpret it as yummy or bad food. We have the sulcus terminalis, which is this space right here, the little dip, and then here's your tonsil, right, one of your tonsils right there. Here's another tonsil here and here. And this is your epiglottis, which covers your trachea, so that way you don't get food down into your trachea when you swallow. You have salivary glands, 6 of them all together inside and around your mouth. The job of your salivary glands is to clean your mouth, dissolve food particles so you can taste them, moisten up your food, moisten, I know you love that word, and to contain enzymes to break down starchy foods. There's 2 types, extrinsic and intrinsic. The extrinsic ones lie outside of the oral cavity. Intrinsic ones, also known as buccal ones, are found in the cheek area in the oral mucosa. So if we take a look, this one right here is kind of outside the oral cavity, and you can see that it has a little tube that dumps out right up here, and you can feel it right up inside. And then we have the sublingual, which is under the tongue, and he dumps out here. And then we also have the submandibular, which has a tube that also dumps right over there. Same thing here. We got parotid, dumps out up top. Submandibular dumps out over here. Sublingual has a whole bunch of them dumping out underneath the tongue. So the parotid gland, par and then otid, means around the ear. So this is the one that's located near your ear. Has a duct that follows your cheekbone and opens up into the upper vestibule. Submandibular means under the mandible, and so this one's located right down here. It's found inside of the lower mandible, opens at the base of the lingual frenulum. Then we have the sublingual, which means under tongue gland. It's found below the tongue and also opens, at the frenulum. Went a little fast there. There we go. The glands are made up of 2 different types of cells. We have the serous cells, which produce a watery secretion that contains ions, enzymes, and mucin, boogery stuff. And then we have mucus cells, which produce, take a wild guess, mucus. So looking at some histology, we've got the serous cells. There are all these little purple guys all over the place. So that's the watery ones. And then we have our mucus ones, which are big and fat and secrete mucus. Alright, saliva is mostly water. Slightly acidic, includes electrolytes, amylase, proteins, and metabolic waste. Your intrinsic ones are really good for just keeping your mouth moist pretty much all day long. Although your extrinsic glands, they only really get going when you start thinking about food or food is in your mouth. You tend to salivate more, and that's because of those extrinsic glands. You produce anywhere between 1 and 1.5 liters per day, so that's a lot of spit, a lot of drool. Alright, last little thing is that your saliva your saliva is controlled by the parasympathetic division of the autonomic nervous system, so you don't have to think about it. You have these receptors in your mouth, chemical receptors, and presso, or pressure receptors, and when they get activated, that sends a signal to the salivatory center of your brainstem. That tells your facial nerves to do their thing and to increase salivary output. Although there's lots of other things that can do it too, such as nausea, like if you're about to barf, you tend to salivate more, bacterial toxins, spicy foods, and hyperactivity, and lots of other things can also increase salivary output. Alright, up next is more about the mouth, specifically teeth. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.